Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Reclaiming communities, students stage peace march in Manchester. Deadly weekend, 9 fatalities reported in crashes since Friday. And later in sports, Jamaica to play New Zealand in Davis Cup playoff. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pula and here are the details. In response to a surge in criminal activities in Albion and surrounding areas, students in Manchester took to the streets to stage a protest, a peace march demanding for an end to the violence. The march aimed to promote peace and reclaim communities in the parish. With the drums beating, students and school officials marched through Bottom Albion, Hillside, Gibson Shop and Cashatown, areas recently scarred by fatal shootings. The message from the students was clear: no more tolerance for violence.
I am afraid to come out at night. I am afraid to stay alone in the house because I am afraid of shooting. People could come in my yard, shoot me or stab me. So that is why we are here today, to promote peace.
I wouldn't want to stay at my school and hear that one of my family members die. So the reason why I joined this march is because I want to show my condolence to all those who are lost.
It's important because we can spread for the world and people can get more understanding of what and what not to do, and probably the violence will stop.
Albion Primary School Principal Paulette Cheddar also cited the devastating impact of crime on the students. The police were present to support the initiative, reinforcing the community's determination to address the growing concern.
It's been affecting our children, our families, and so as a school we see it fit to take a stand against the violence in the community and to help the children recognize that they can make a change when their voices are heard.
Our children are pretty much living in a time where violence is everywhere. And to the extent that they are seeing and knowing what is happening, they will become fearful. It is against this background that we seek to provide support.
This marks the second peace march organized by Albion Primary since 2019, demonstrating the school's commitment to promoting peace and safety. Students at Pedro Plains Primary School in St. Elizabeth were sent home this morning. This is due to a power outage since Thursday. A fallen tree damaged the GPS wires during maintenance. Despite notifications to the company, electricity is yet to be restored. The Seaforth police in St. Thomas are investigating the murder of a man last evening. He has been identified as 21-year-old Jaheim Graham, otherwise called Jaja. According to reports, about 8:40 p.m. Sunday, Jaheim was walking along Blacksmith Lane when he was attacked by 2 armed men. He was shot multiple times. He died on the spot. A motive has not yet been established for the killing. The St. Elizabeth police arrested 3 men during a stop and search along the Pedro Plains main road on the weekend. According to reports, the black motor vehicle they were traveling in was signaled to stop. The police seized a Glock pistol and 16 live rounds during a search of the car. The men were subsequently detained at the Black River police station. Investigations are continuing. At least 9 people have been killed since Friday in road crashes. This brings the number of road fatalities to 288 since the start of the year. Although this represents a 10% decrease from last year's 319 fatalities during the same period, authorities remain concerned.
And so far, 95 motorcyclists have died on our roads. The National Road Safety Council has been on a drive to reduce the number of motorcyclists who are dying on our roads. We started a program in Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth, funded by initially a global charity, the FIA Foundation, and also funds from the Ministry of National Security. That funding has now dried up.
Young people continue to be victims, many of whom fail to wear protective gear.
And we have a difficulty enforcing the helmet wearing law, which the police are trying their best to cope with. We have to get on top of this problem. We cannot allow so many of our young men to be dying on our roads. This is why we have such a big problem with road safety in Jamaica. This is our number one problem, and we have to find a way to fix it.
Human rights lobby group Freedom Imaginaries is seeking to represent 20 Haitians who arrived by boat in Portland on Saturday. The group is again emphasizing the importance of due process and access to refugee status determination procedures.
I was at the Port Antonio police station up until around a little after 6 p.m. last night when I saw a convoy of police officers and immigration officials transporting a large group of persons who I assume to be the Haitians. They were taken to an undisclosed location. And of course, I spent the day trying to meet with the Haitians and provide legal assistance, but my requests were denied.
The Justice Ministry is revamping justice centers island-wide, starting with a new state-of-the-art center in Hanover, which is to be completed by next year. The $172.7 million contract was signed at the ministry's Constant Spring Road office in Kingston recently. Amoy Harriott tells us more.
How often have you heard cries like these?
We want justice! We need justice! We want justice! We want justice!
Or instances where residents need legal advice and justice services but can't afford to go to court. The Justice Ministry says these will soon become a thing of the past. The ministry is looking to revamp justice centers across the island. Now, currently there are 14 centers, one in each parish, but
they're not really what we want. We have used, post office space or in a space we can find to put up a justice center. But eventually, we want some model justice centers.
Starting with a $172.7 million center in Sandy Bay, Hanover, which should be completed by September next year. The structure will serve as a model for the build-out of a network of these centers island-wide. Justice centers are equipped to handle matters related to child diversion, restorative justice, dispute resolution, among other justice-related issues.
We know that there are some technical, complex matters that citizens will want to take to court. What we are promoting, you have a little difficulty with your neighbor, or even within the family, or within the neighborhood. Call the Justice Center or visit the Justice Center, and hopefully we can resolve these without going through the expense of going to court.
And speaking of courts, Minister Chuck says he's concerned about the alarmingly high crime rate and the number of cases being brought before the courts. It's why he's reiterating the importance of restorative justice.
The truth is, Jamaicans are very volatile people. We, just find it difficult to verbalize and to really work out our difficulties. And that is why these justice centers are so important. At the moment, we are about 860 murders for the year. The government wants to keep it below 1,000. So over the next 3 months, we're really trying hard, and we're working with the police, and the Ministry of Justice is working in various community affairs, pushing, restorative justice, victim services to settle matters. If we can get over the next 3 months, less than 40 or 50 murders. Can you imagine?
Amoy Harriott, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Things are looking up for poultry farmers affected by Hurricane Beryl as the Christmas season approaches. The Ministry of Agriculture says it will be pumping $26 million into the industry. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says thousands of birds were destroyed during the hurricane. Mr. Green says distribution of layer chickens will commence in the coming days. He was addressing farmers at the St. James Beef Farmers Association's Lifestyle Day recently.
We've already started distribution of 57,000 broiler chicks targeting our most impacted parishes, starting with Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and now we're moving that around. This week, going into next week, we plan to start our distribution of our pullets, our layer chickens.
Several egg farmers also complained that their chickens experienced trauma in the hurricane and were not producing eggs.
And have put in place $26 million to help build back chicken infrastructure. What we saw with Hurricane Beryl, not only did people lose their chickens, unfortunately, the entire coop went away. So for the first time, we're saying, if we're going to help you, don't make sense we give back the chicken and you don't have anywhere to put it. So we're put $26 million for a chicken infrastructure project, and we're helping people build back their infrastructure so that they can get back into our poultry sector.
To a TVJ News follow-up, water is now restored to sections of St. Thomas. The disruption was caused by a massive water leak in Yala Square. Member of Parliament for Western St. Thomas says that the issue was resolved late Sunday.
Our understanding is that what has broken or ruptured was the old line, and we know it's going to happen again. So we're saying there are new pipes, let's commission them. I also want to say to those who are still not receiving water yet, the wells are pumping and the line is being charged. So in very short order, we will have water.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
Listed company iCreate is shifting its business strategy rebranding. Shareholders have approved the new Kintar Holdings JA at the recent annual general meeting. Chairman and CEO Tyrone Wilson said the company is now dealing in real estate, food and beverage, and other ventures previously undertaken under the rubric of iCreate. iCreate is listed as a digital and creative business. The new name reflects that of another of Wilson's company, Kintar Holdings Limited, which holds a 41.8% stake in iCreate. Wilson controls nearly 63% of iCreate through Kintar and other means. With the new shares, iCreate's issued capital will rise from about 949.7 million units to nearly 1.1 billion units. Further afield, a suspected group of Chinese government-linked hackers infiltrated several broadband and internet providers such as AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen. Investigators suspect the hackers were likely looking for national security or other sensitive information. Sources say investigators believe the hackers potentially accessed wiretap warrant requests. But the U.S. government is still trying to determine what information the hackers may have obtained. U.S. officials are concerned about the potential national security damage done by the hacking. The security breach was only recently discovered. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Carrie Simpson.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the European Union (EU) has condemned last week's horrific massacre in Pont-Sonde to the north of Haiti that was carried out by the Grand Griffe gang. In a statement on Sunday, the EU said the massacre marks yet another escalation in the extreme violence these criminal groups are inflicting on the Haitian people. The EU said it will continue to play its part alongside regional partners to help Haiti confront its severe humanitarian crisis and advance on a sustainable path towards security and stabilization. On the international scene, Florida is starting what could be its largest evacuation effort since 2017. That's according to officials who are urging some residents to flee ahead of Hurricane Milton. Floridians are bracing for the second major hurricane in less than 2 weeks. Forecasters predict Milton will make landfall Wednesday and then plow across most of the state. Officials are issuing both mandatory and voluntary evacuation orders for at-risk areas. The National Hurricane Center warns flooding could threaten millions of residents. Milton's timing could be dangerous since the ground is already saturated in some areas from Hurricane Helene. And a year on from Hamas's October 7 attacks, Israel, Hamas and Hezbollah have all launched assaults. Israel carried out airstrikes on Lebanon, saying it hit Hezbollah targets, and Gaza, where it targeted Hamas. From Gaza, Hamas fired rockets at Israel with 2 people wounded near Tel Aviv. And in northern Israel, 60 apartments were damaged by Hezbollah rockets fired from Lebanon. Since October 7 last year, nearly 42,000 people have been killed during Israel's campaign in Gaza, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Nikinsky Robinson.
We take another break. Sports is next.